Welcome to the Trader a Traitors podcast. I'm Matthew, I'm a writer working in unscripted TV development, and this podcast is dedicated to the TV phenomenon, The Traitors. We are analysing and recapping every episode, not just here in the UK, but from Traitors franchises around the world. This season of the podcast specifically is dedicated to the Traitors UK Season Four. We've been analysing the strategy, the tactics, the gameplay, recapping the big events that we've all been talking about, and sometimes, well, all the time, telling a little lie or two along the way. You'll find out. Joining me today is a returning guest co-host to the Trader, who you've kind of already heard from on this season of the pod already. You'll find out what I mean. Let's meet them. My guest is Jane Massey. Jane is a retired police officer, something she did for many, many years, and is originally from England but now lives in New Zealand, where in 2024 she took part in Season 2 of the Traitors New Zealand. Jane was selected in the opening episode as a traitor, but I'm not going to reveal how she got on, how far in the game she made it. You have to go and watch that season if you haven't already. I know lots of our listeners have. It does mean that Jane has insight into this game that I'll never have, no matter how much I watch on TV. Welcome back to the Trader, Jane. How are you doing?
Good morning from New Zealand. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I've been sending you random voice notes, I think, on every episode so far. So apologies. I've got so much to say about it. So yeah, looking forward to recapping this episode.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about episode 8, and I've been loving your voice notes. You said, I think in your last message, you said you think this might be the best UK series we've had. Are you sticking with that?
Well, we're going to discuss that. Sadly, this last episode we're going to discuss was lacking in that. So I'm in two minds, and we'll talk about it. But I think it's had two of the best episodes we've ever seen. I think it
Yeah.
had a slow start. A couple of episodes that were just the best ones ever, and then it's kind of going into a bit of a lull. So we'll see. It's
Hmm.
definitely up there. But I've got my own thoughts on that, and we can discuss that about the cast specifically. But it's had some standout moments for sure.
Yes, I guess after the fallout of Harriet, this episode was maybe inevitably gonna be just a bit more subdued. Although I love how it ended. I know it just ended the way it pretty much always ends, but I do love the dilemma that Rachel and Stephen now have to face about their next choice. So I can't wait to talk about that. Uh, Before we go any further with this episode or talk any more about Harriet, because we'll have lots to say about Harriet, even though she's not with us in this ep,
Yeah.
she's still in our thoughts. We are going to initiate our podcast game, The Trader Traitor. We are putting Traitors viewers' claims to the test when they say that they could easily spot the traitors telling lies. So we're playing our own game of secrecy and betrayal right here on the podcast. The challenge for Jane and I is for the remainder of this episode to tell one lie to one another and to you. The lie has to be a completely made up fact, a fabrication. It can be a huge lie, it can be a tiny lie, it could be about the traitors, it could be about anything. For example, I could lie to Jane and say that I too had blood pouring down my walls yesterday. That would be awful. However, I couldn't lie and say that I believe the cabin really might be haunted. That would be a fake opinion. So we're looking for fake facts and false pieces of information, not fake thoughts and feelings. Listeners, you can put your skills to the test, see if anything lights up your radar before Jane and I play Traitor Hunter in the listener Q&A episode right after this, where we will guess and reveal our lies. Jane, we've done it before, we're going to do it again. I'm up against a real life traitor. Well, not a real life traitor, you know what I mean. Are you ready to
Yeah,
play the
yeah.
game and betray me?
Yes, I am ready. Go ahead.
Okay, let's do this. Our game begins now. Just before we get into episode 8, I've got a couple of little catch up points from listeners. I think they're both about Harriet. This is Matt on Spotify. Simply said, genuinely one of the most insane self destructive moments I've ever seen. Maybe Harriet had to get away quickly for her next book launch. I've seen a lot of comments online of people saying Harriet just did this for publicity, and I know our books are now like doing really well, and people are more aware of who she is. I I don't know. What do you think about that? Was Harriet just doing this all for a bit of attention for her books?
I don't. I really. I don't think so. No. I
Yeah.
think she genuinely just caught up in the emotion of the game, and I've seen a couple of interviews with her afterwards, and I think she kind of admits that. I think it's yeah. So, I mean, have you read any of her books?
No, I didn't know who she was before
I've
this.
read
Kind of
Blood
want to now.
Orange, and yeah, I've read Blood Orange before this, and it's good. So maybe I'll read some more, and maybe there'll be others that her book sales will improve. But I don't think that's why. I think she's genuinely a fan and wants to take part. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't
people
know.
have their opinions, and I get that. But no,
Yeah, a couple of people even on the pod YouTube pages have been saying this was just for, just to launch her, or not launch her career, but sort of improve her career, sell
no,
books. Yeah, I just can't
no,
imagine you go through all of this, the casting process, the
exactly.
application,
Yeah,
coming to Scotland for a few weeks, going through the whole process just because you want to sell some more books. Like
why
I
bother?
don't
I think she's
believe,
quite rich anyway, isn't she? So I don't think she needs the money.
yeah, and there's all sorts of ways to promote yourself. This is a very elaborate one, and
Yeah.
maybe she thought like, oh, this, yeah, it'll be good for my career. Like that's a nice side effect. I don't think it's her main reason for being here, and I certainly don't
No.
think it was a plan to blow up the way she did. And we'll
Oh,
talk more about Harriet as we go,
yeah,
but
yeah.
there's just a comment from Kirsty on YouTube here who said, in the words of Kate Garraway, I was flabbergasted by what Harriet did. I was a 10 out of 10 on the Jessie jaw dropped scale. It was wild how somebody went from being discussed as potentially one of the GOAT faithfuls to utterly destroying her own game. On the plus side, if David, co-host David Bloomberg, who's on the podcast a lot, ever decides to make rules for the traitors, he can simplify it by saying, do the opposite of what Harriet did in this one episode. It was mind blowing from start to finish how she committed every traitor's sin in one go. Kind of impressive, actually. Also, I wasn't super keen on the slow clap she did for Roxy, although I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that she truly thought Roxy was a traitor trying to perform as a faithful. So I agreed. Like the night before that episode, or maybe it was the week we had the week long, this sort of to wait
Yeah.
after Harriet was heading to the church and she was going to reveal her really clever questions and she was going to.
Yeah.
It was all social media was talking about was Detective Harriet. She's like, oh my god, what an amazing faithful! She's going to crack them, and it just all fell apart in episode 7.
Oh, spectacularly, didn't it? I mean, I
Yeah,
think I had an inkling because I messaged you halfway through, I think, or left you a voice note
yeah,
halfway
yeah.
through as well, that she was going to go because of how she was being. But also, even in the church, she seemed like her emotion was really taking over when she said, "Oh, don't, my voice is shaky, but don't mistake that for." But I think there was, having been in the traitors, it can really get to you. And I know people say, "Oh, it's just a game, it's just a game," and it is just a game. But real feelings come into it, and I think she was. I was surprised by how much she unravelled,
Hmm.
but especially with her profession of being an ex-barrister.
Mm.
But yeah, she just lost the plot, didn't she? Big
She,
time.
yeah, I agree. I do think it just got to her. I don't think this was
Right.
a big plan. I think it overwhelmed
Oh,
her.
yeah.
But she was so close. I mean, she was right. That's the thing. She was right about
Yeah.
Rachel, but she just
Yeah.
executed it all terribly.
Yeah,
Uh,
her and Fiona just both of them spectacularly blew up their own games. And let's be honest, whatever you think of Fiona, and Fiona wasn't my favourite. I really like Harriet, but whatever you think of them, they made great TV, and
yeah,
that's
oh
one of
yeah,
the reasons why people like me are saying this is one of my favourite series, certainly two of the favourite episodes, and why so many people are talking about it, and there's so much on the internet. So kudos to them that they've been highlights of the whole series.
yeah, absolutely. Studio Lambert will be rubbing their hands in what brilliant cast. Give the casting team a bonus.
Absolutely.
Great
Yeah,
job.
absolutely. Yeah.
So we are now going to get into episode 8. Plenty to talk about here. Here we go. a recap, we are reminded that, of course, yes, Harriet and Matthew spoke to the traitors before Harriet's complete meltdown. And at the mission, James snuck a shield, which really pissed off his teammates, who were Sam, Adam, Jesse, and Harriet. This ends up being super important. And at the round table, yes, Harriet then imploded further and suggested that there are four, maybe even five traitors, and asks everyone pretty much to banish her to prove that she's right, which they do. Rachel and Stephen decide not to recruit, but to gamble on targeting someone in James's mission team for murder, knowing that potentially 2 out of 4 of them have shields and it might not work. The episode just gives us a little bit more in the turret. It's kind of them just repeating what we've already seen, nothing new, I don't think. And we head to breakfast. It's really a funny, a bit sneaky, I think, of production to make Matt come in first with Rachel and Stephen. a little bit of foreshadowing there.
Yeah, great stuff. Yeah.
I don't know if he's got any idea it's them. I don't think he does.
No, I don't think he does either.
I mean, in this episode, he ends up voting for Sam, I think. We'll check. So he doesn't seem to be onto them, although they're worried that he might eventually be. So they come in. Rachel knows that people are going to start looking at her, or she thinks people are going to start looking at her because of what both Fiona and Harriet did. We'll see how that plays out. And Matt is worried because he feels like he led the offensive on Harriet, and then obviously she was a faithful. I don't think anyone is thinking that that was Matthew. Like, I think
No.
that would have been the same outcome no matter what. Like, she
Yeah.
basically said
Yeah,
to
I
them,
think
well,
so.
vote for me and prove it. So I don't,
Yeah.
I mean, Matthew did say he thought she was a traitor, but I don't think it made a difference.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone is
he
looking to
did.
him.
No, I don't think they are. He did say a lot, but again, it's overthinking, isn't it? When you're in there, he's probably overthinking things. But yeah, certainly that didn't, nobody's blaming it on him at all.
Yeah. And of course, he's also eagerly waiting to find out if Jesse won't come back, because that might suggest the traitors have taken on the deal that he put forward. Jade comes in, Ellie comes in, some guy called Jack arrives, who is this man. He talks about how he's can get really hyper focused on things, and he says, I'm hyper focused on the game, I'm gonna get a traitor tonight. And I just thought it was quite funny, like, what have you been doing up until now? Have you not been hyper focused on the game? Like, it was like he was implying, now I'm gonna play the game. I don't know, it just made me laugh a little bit. And the players all chat about hoping that the traitors have failed in the murder. And Rachel's playing up the idea, yeah, we have to find out who lied about stealing the shield, because most of them still don't know it was James. The people in James's team know, but everyone else doesn't. So Rachel is really playing up like, oh, we have to find out who what now. And this goes on throughout the whole episode, this focus on James and the shield. I personally don't think it's that important, but and I think Rachel probably knows it doesn't really mean anything, but she knows the other players will think it's important, so she's latching on to it. I mean, generally, I think Rachel is doing a great. I think she's a great traitor. I think she's doing so well. What do you think of Rachel in this role?
I think she's playing a phenomenal game, to be honest. I think she's playing it exactly right. I think on her side is one, she's had FBI training. Remember?
Of
That was
course.
hilarious. Well, she has apparently had some degree of it, but also
Yeah.
the fact that the faithfuls are hopeless this year. And you just hit the nail on the head. They're not the worst faithfuls ever, but the ones that were any good have gone, and the only one that's left really is Jessie, and nobody's listening to her, unfortunately. And I think that she's playing them all, and I really like her game. I know some people don't like the way she's playing it, but I don't think she's being spiteful or nasty. I think she genuinely wants to work with Stephen. And I think she's just playing it very, very well at the moment. I think she did maybe had a slight slip up in this episode at the end with Faraz.
Mm.
But I do think that, yeah, I mean, come on, the whole thing about James, it's not suspicious. If you're a
Yeah.
faithful, you want to get a shield. I don't understand. they're hyper fixating on the wrong things, and that's unfortunately is going to be why to their demise. And I really can genuinely see a traitor winning, probably Rachel and or Stephen, maybe even together winning the whole thing. It wouldn't surprise me if they both win. I don't know. What do you think?
I I don't know if they will win, but I want them to. I actually really want Rachel to just make it all the way, and I hope she can take Stephen with her. I
Mm,
mean, it's so difficult to predict. Sometimes the last like two episodes even of a series totally change the way that you thought things were going.
yeah.
So it's so difficult to say, but I would like them to win. I really think she's played it so well. She's so
Yeah.
cool. She doesn't
Mm,
overreact to anything.
no.
She seems like she's got a great social game. Everybody likes her. She gets on with them all.
Yes.
She seems quite
Yeah.
encouraging. She wants to listen to everybody. Seems just so rational all the time. So she's
Yeah.
doing a masterclass in just acting so faithful and down to earth.
Def Definitely,
She's
and I think Stephen, after having the horrendous first few round tables where he was just red as a beetroot and all just horrendous, he's come into he stepped into his role a bit better. He's talking more and he's not having to defend himself. I still think he could end up. Yeah, I mean, I really like Stephen as well, but he seems to be sort of stepping into the role a bit better now as well. So the pair of them together, I really hope they do stick together. They've had this thing that they're not going to vote for each other, and we'll see how that plays out. But as a team, I would love to have had a team like that when I was in the trade. I mean, we didn't work as a team at all in our series, but yeah, good on them. I really want. I'd love for them both to win. I would.
yeah,
They deserve
agreed.
it.
Yeah. There is then a very annoying knock at the door that could only belong to James. So in he walks. He's got Faraz and Roxy behind him. And he says in his confessional, his miv, that it's a game of self preservation. And he says that he. Now, I generally find James very annoying, but I do agree with what he says here. He says he'd rather have a bit of heat at the round table than get murdered. So he's like, I know I've caused problems and people are looking at me, but I wanted a shield. That's the thing that's going to save me at night. And so I thought, oh, for the first time, I kind of agree with him. Like,
Point.
yeah, maybe
Yep.
he should have just owned up to it really quickly and told his team because that's annoyed them. But trying to get a shield is not the worst thing in the world. So the players then who are here right now at the table, they talk a bit more about the shield theft, and James is just awkwardly sitting. It's like the one of the first times that James isn't speaking. When they're like, "Who took it? I wonder who it was. I can't believe someone lied about it." And James is like, "Someone should have
Yeah.
noticed." Like James is suddenly
Awkward.
quiet. This is
Yeah.
weird. At this point, Jesse, Adam, and Sam are the only three who haven't returned, and of course, they were all in James's mission team. There's a knock at the door. Sam comes in, followed by Jesse. So Adam is gone, and it's funny because Stephen is shocked. He's sort of acting like he's really shocked, but he doesn't have to fake it that much because he and Rachel didn't know for sure if it would work. So it kind of is a shock
No.
to like realize, oh my god, we actually got lucky. We pulled it off. They didn't know.
Maybe he was shocked because he thought, "Oh, no, that's Adam. He's actually in this cast. I never even knew he existed." The ghost hunter, Adam, the ghost hunter, who is a ghost. Oh my God, what dreadful casting or editing. I don't know, but sorry, I've got a bee in my bonnet about half this cast, and Adam being one of them is he's just been non-existent, absolutely non-existent. I'm glad they've got
Yeah,
rid of him, really, because it put him out of his misery.
I didn't mind Adam so much just because his brilliant sort of like London accent. I just really enjoy the stuff that he would come out with. But yeah, in terms of the game, I don't think he was really ever adding anything except getting things
Oh,
wrong all the time.
hmm
And like Jack as well. I made it like I'm sure Jack is a lovely person, right? I'm not slagging him off, but
I know.
just a bit flat, just sort of not really doing much for the audience. It
Oh,
just feels a
it's
shame.
while we're on this, yeah, exactly. Let me have my rant because it's been really annoying me. So I have Jack, Adam, Faraz, Jade, Ellie,
Yeah.
and Roxy, mostly. why are they there? They're not doing anything. They're not giving anything. It really annoys me because the amount of people that must have applied to be on this series, and
Yeah,
they've got half the cast that have been amazing. And I know that you can't have all, massive personalities, but I just think they're doozies, a lot of them. Whether it's just the editing, Faraz, I thought Faraz seems like a really intelligent young man. Again, just nothing.
yeah,
Adam, nothing. Jack, nothing, like you say. And it's just been frustrating to watch. And I think now that some of these big personalities have gone, I hope that we can still have good last episodes and it doesn't fall flat because it will be a shame if it does,
yeah.
because the series has been so great. So I just need to have my rant because it's just if I'd applied for it, I'd be thinking, why the hell did they put bloody Ghost Hunter Adam on? He's given nothing. So yeah, come on,
Yeah.
Studio Land, but you can do better than that next year.
Well,
You're half great and half rubbish. Right,
I think you're
rant over.
echoing what lots of people seem to be thinking about
Yeah,
5 or 6 members
yeah.
of the cast. And I mean, I
Mm,
think part of it is what you said, that they can't have 22 really loud, gregarious people. You kind of need some who are a bit more laid back. But maybe also, I don't know if maybe just in the cast, it happens a lot in Big Brother that I think people in the casting process are really like lively and seem like they're going to be great fun, but actually,
yeah.
and so you think, oh, they're really fun. They've got an interesting background. Ellie's a psychologist. Oh, she's got a partner. It's
What?
Ross. They'll keep
Yeah,
it. And then they actually come to filming it, and they're on set, and they just dwindle, and they just you realize, oh, that
don't
what they
they?
showed us in the casting process, maybe it was a bit of a show, and
Ellie.
actually they're not that great. So
Oh my God, Ellie voted most bland, and then she's like, "Oh, that's okay, that's fine." But I'm going to get my revenge for Ross. She's done nothing. She's done
yeah, no,
nothing. She's just sat
no
there. Jade just looks
revenge.
like she's in another world. She's not even listening to most things. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it was only, I think, in this episode that when maybe Jesse or someone mentioned Ross, I sort of thought, oh yeah, Ellie and Ross were a couple. Like I'd forgotten that.
Yes,
Like it
exactly.
just hasn't become a
Yep.
thing. And
No,
and
no,
and I like again, Jade seems like very clever, like very lovely,
absolutely. Yep.
but just sort of seems quite panic strucken a lot of the time. And when it comes to defending
It's just like
herself,
she's
doesn't
zoned
ever
out.
really say anything that exciting.
No,
Just sort of
no.
quite repetitive. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, maybe in the last 4 episodes they'll come out of their
I hope
shells
they
and we'll go,
do.
oh my goodness. We'll
I
see.
hope they do. I really hope they do because I don't dislike any of them. I just think the casting's been lacking, or the certainly the editing has just done nothing for any of
Yeah,
these people, and it's a
yeah,
shame, really. That's all.
yeah.
I'll
So now
shut
that
up
we know
now.
Adam is gone, we do flash back to find out why he was chosen, and it's nothing that new. There's one little thing I didn't think of. They basically say, yeah, if we murder Adam, maybe it'll implicate Matthew because Adam voted for Matthew at the last round table. Stephen also just chips in, I'm not really close to Adam. I don't think Rachel is either. So they think he's not like an ally. We probably can't sway any of his votes to help us.
Yeah.
So he's kind of in another friendship group. That's no use to us. So off he goes. Adam gets his letter. He calls the traitors, gets there's Gates, and he takes it really. I like when they take it well. I like when they just sort of go,
Yeah.
oh well, I had a great time. He doesn't do the usual where he says, "Oh, I was clearly a big threat. Oh man, I can't believe." He just says it's been a life changing experience. He's learned from all the people he's met, which is quite sweet. And he says, "I've gone
Yeah.
from Martin Gauss to becoming one. I should live on in spirit." So that was a nice little closing line for Adam.
Yeah,
Back
he
to
took it really well. Yeah.
yes, it's just it's nice to see. Back to breakfast then. Obviously, Rachel and Stephen are pretty happy about what's just happened, but having to hide it. And Rachel talks in her miv about the guilt of it all, and it does get more difficult as you go on. You're getting close to everybody, and you're the one that has to be in charge of murdering them off or helping to banish them. Sam then spells out to everybody exactly what happened yesterday. That Jesse in the mission had the first shield in their little group, and then James stole one and hid it and admitted it after they got back to the castle. So like Sam just lands James right in it at this point. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't get so James just has to be like, yep, it was me.
Yeah.
Like Sam just
Yeah.
goes ahead and tells everybody and he says, yep, well I'm owning it, self-preservation. And he says in his interview that he feels guilty about Adam, but I think it's not his fault. Like, nothing James did affected Adam being murdered. The traitors just took a
No.
chance. They just knew
Yeah.
that that was the one little group that they didn't have inside info on, so that's not on James.
Mm.
And Sam is insistent that he just read everybody wrong. He thinks that because he got so annoyed yesterday, him and Adam, about someone taking an extra shield, he thought it was obvious that he and Adam hadn't taken one. I don't think Rachel and Stephen knew that. I don't think anybody really knew that. Ellie talks about it later. She's like, I didn't know that. So, in fact, Stephen said in the turret last night he thought the opposite. He thought Sam was bluffing and that Sam did have
Mm.
one. But Sam
Yeah.
is just, I don't know if it's a bit of like main character ego that he thought, well, clearly everyone was paying attention to me when I was annoyed, so they knew that I didn't have one. And I don't think anybody really was paying that much attention.
No.
Roxy asks James then, she's like, what were you thinking, deceiving your group? And like it's, again, like it's, this is the worst thing you could have done, James. And he just says, she describes it as deceptive behaviour, and she suspected him anyway, so I suppose it's just extra proof for her to add to what she already worried about. She's been calling him out since like the first couple of roundtables.
Yeah.
And I think that happens quite a lot in the Traitors, that sometimes a player is caught not being honest about one thing. Sometimes it's just their career. Like halfway through, like way back to series one, there was Maddie, who was an actress who had been in a couple of things. And when she told people, they were mind blown. They were like, oh, you're an actress and you didn't tell us? Well, if you've lied about
Yeah.
that, you must be lying about being a traitor. So anytime someone reveals something that they weren't honest about before, people, they just, and I kind of get it. The players latch onto it and think, well, that just means you're a deceptive person in general. So that's what Roxy seems to be doing to James here, which it was one thing. It was one time. He took a shield. The funny thing is,
Doesn't mean anything.
he couldn't go an hour without admitting it. Like he couldn't handle the lie. He had to. He ended up telling his team, and he didn't need to. If anything, that proves to me he's terrible at keeping secrets. He would
Yes.
be a really bad traitor.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So
absolutely. I agree. But again, Roxy's hopeless as well, isn't she, with it? I mean, she's not putting any, she's not got any evidence, and yeah, she is fairly annoying with the way that she interrupts people. And I think even if did get it right, people won't listen to her. But yeah, it doesn't make, deceptive is, you've made a really good point there, is that he couldn't even hide the fact that he took it. So yeah, if you think logically about it, there's no way he could be a traitor.
yeah, yeah. And maybe that's easy for us to say, but I just wonder if his teammates might not have thought that. Oh God, he couldn't. He eventually told us.
You're giving
Surely
him too
that
much credit.
suggests. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, to give him too much credit, you're right. You're right. Of course, now that again that we know that Adam's gone, and we know Sam's spelling out exactly what happened. Matthew realizes that Jessie had a shield, and she holds it up and shows them. So it makes him wonder. Oh, the maybe my deal's still on. Maybe so that's maybe why the traitors didn't go for her. Maybe they knew that. Okay, so there's still hope that he might get recruited. In the last episode of the podcast, I sort of speculated about that. I thought if Jessie shows him at breakfast she's got a shield, yeah, he might still be on the track that he's potentially going to become a traitor. Jessie points out that surely James isn't a traitor though. Jessie and James are like besties. She says he's her best pal, and we see them together a lot. And I know there's this conspiracy theory that the brother and sister. I'm off that. I don't think that they. More than anything,
I don't
and
think.
not that it's impossible, they've got totally different accents, like from different regions. Now that they could have been brought up in different places, but nah, they're not siblings. I'm not. I don't. I'll be amazed if they are.
Great.
And if they were, they wouldn't be so huggy and telling each other they love each other. I
No,
think they'd
no,
be
that's
like
true.
playing it
Yeah.
much more cool. So yeah, she's trying to defend him and says, "Surely he's not a traitor. Like, why would a traitor be so desperate to get a shield and do it secretly? And like, surely a traitor would be acting in front of everybody like they wanted a shield to make themselves look faithful." Spoke to Tommy C, who's a listener, on Instagram a bit about this. We were chatting, Now, most of the listener questions I'm going to keep for a bonus episode, but this was just so relevant in here, I added it in. Tommy C on Instagram says, weird thing here is that if James gets caught, now Tommy sent this to me before this episode, so this was after
Right.
episode 7, it'll actually prove he's faithful, because an actual traitor has zero incentive to take a shield surreptitiously. But no way they all figure that out. I suggested the traitor might want to just stop. Oh, yes, this is me, sorry. This is my words. I said to Tommy, maybe a traitor just wants a faithful not to have it, so that's why they steal it. And Ellie, I think, mentions that later on in the episode. But Tommy replied and said, well, the bigger traitor incentive is to look like you're afraid of being murdered and to explain why you're not targeted. If you do it secretly, neither of those apply. You don't get the chance to act in front of everybody. It implies the player is actually more afraid of being murdered than of potentially pissing off other players, which is exactly what James said.
Yeah.
So, yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah, good point, Tommy.
Claudia then arrives at breakfast. Down Adam's portrait comes and she gives them their clue for the mission. Shortly you'll be going out for a mission. If you stay inside all day, well, you'll get cabin fever. And it's kind of it's not the exact same mission we've seen before, but the cabin appears a lot. And so and it's always something really horrible.
Yeah.
So they all are immediately just dreading whatever it's going to be this time. Off we go around the castle for some reality time. Sam continues talking about how irritated he is. He says if there's a shield today, he doesn't care, he's going to grab it. This ends up being a problem. And we'll get to it. In the kitchen, we've got one of the biggest talking points of the episode, I would say. It's not James and the shield. That sounds like James and the Giant Peach. James and the shield. It's not the aftermath of Hurricane Harriet. It's Stephen's jumpsuit. We get full vision of the jumpsuit. We saw it at breakfast, but now we get all of Stephen.
We saw a bit too much in that jumpsuit.
We did. Not enough for the fans of Stephen. Some fans are loving it. It's very ABBA. It's very Saturday Night Fever. Apparently his boyfriend made it. I don't know if he's a designer or something. I think his boyfriend stole it from like the set of Star Trek or something like that. I've had so many messages about this.
70s, yeah.
Very 70s.
70s called they want their jumpsuit back, yeah.
Right. I've seen like 50% of online chat saying, oh God, it's awful, I hate it. 50%, this is amazing, he's so stylish and cool. I admire his confidence to wear the jumpsuit, I'll say that. It's very stylish.
Good on him.
Stylish.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Yeah.
So here he is in his jumpsuit. He's with James, Jade, Roxy, and Rachel, and he's pretending as well that he's really bothered by the shield theft, and it's put James on his radar for the first time. Of course, he's just we know he knows it's not true, but he's playing into it, which I think is clever. And later in the library, Sam is talking to some other players. He's speculating about why Adam was chosen as the murder victim. And he's wondering if he's been framed. And other players are saying, yeah, Sam, you've had heat on you from day one. You clearly weren't going to get murdered. You're still probably not going to get murdered. And at this point, Matthew and Matthew and Sam both say they don't really think James is a traitor. He just did something stupid. So they're. I'm sort of not worried for James. I know it keeps coming up in the episode and people keep talking about it, but I didn't really think he was in trouble being banished. I sort of didn't think it was going to go that way. It's time for the mission. I've mentioned this on the podcast before. I've got a wee family group chat with my sisters, but one of my sisters is called Jane. Jane, I don't know if I've told you this. So Jane and Claire are in the group chat. Claire texted me saying, Matthew, have you watched The Traitors yet? And I hadn't watched it. And she just said, you're going to love the mission. And she was right. I loved the mission.
It was brilliant.
It was my favourite one yet. Before we get to the cabin and find out what it is, we get a little bit in the cars. Stephen, again, he's doing his best job of trying to divert attention. He's bigging up Sam and how angry Sam was about the shield, and he's wondering if there's something going on there. Maybe it was just a big bluff. At the time, Matt, Roxy, and Jack are in the car with him, and they seem like they're agreeing and they're nodding along with Stephen. Likewise, Ellie's in her car with Jesse, James, and Faraz, kind of talking about the same idea. Although in their car, Faraz and James, they're not really buying it. They're pretty sure Sam's a faithful. They get on well with him. They spend a lot of time with him. Although that might change at the round table. Here we arrive at the cabin. As the players come out of the cars, they spot that there's a new graveyard behind the cabin now. Claudia welcomes them, and she says, "Every year I say I'm going to sort this cabin. Every year I forget." And they go. It's basically a spooky, haunted seance with cryptic messages. They're going to be given clues through various means to names that match names in some of the gravestones. And every time the cabin door opens, one player and only one player will have 60 seconds to run out and identify the correct grave with the name on it. There will be 6 names in total, and it's £1,000 for everyone they get correct. And of course, there's a wee extra. There's one shield up for grabs rather than money that a player might want to try and get. And last time on the podcast, we had some listeners saying they thought there were too many shields, like in a fountain mission. There were like 8 shields. So some listeners were saying that it seems like there's so many this time. I think production are trying to make it easier for the faithful. But I guess this flies in the face of that. There's only one this time. I don't know if I've got a skewed perspective of things. I feel like in the earlier season of Traitors, like in different countries, there weren't as many shields that often, but there are for your series. Was that the case? Were there
many.
always shields? Yeah.
No, there weren't actually as many. Yeah, definitely there is more shields as the series goes on. But I think again that's there were the 8 shields makes it interesting because then the traitors obviously had to hedge their bets. So it's kind of a different and then obviously we had the whole thing with James and doing the secret shield. So it's nice to mix it up. Yeah, there was only one
Yeah.
in this, so I've got no issue with that. I think it keeps it interesting.
Yeah. Especially in this one, it makes it more sort of. It's more of a dilemma. Like when there were 8 shields, kind of all the teams were pretty much in agreement. Well, we'll take one and we'll do something with it. This time, it really puts pressure on one person to get that one shield, and they've got the chance to keep it a secret. In the fountain mission, they were in teams. Apart from James, it was really difficult to hide from anybody that you were taking
Yeah.
one. This time,
Mm.
you could do whatever you wanted. Claudia's not going to reveal who's taking it. Although Sam did make it clear earlier
Yeah.
that he
He did.
that he
I
really
mean,
wanted one.
yeah.
So before they begin, Claudia's main advice is to not scream too loudly, so we know they're in for some frights. I just thought this was the coolest task ever. There's all sorts of things happening in there. The magnetized Ouija board on the table, the
Yeah.
blood pouring down the walls, and the message that it leaves behind, the typewriter. Stephen's accent cracks me up here when he goes, the typewriter starts going absolutely crazy. It's just got like that brilliant like Alan Cumming accent. Did you love this mission as well?
Oh my God, yeah, it was the best one. Yeah, it was brilliant. The Ouija board was fantastic. That took me back to my school days. And that's all after school, sitting and trying to do the Ouija board. But Stephen was hilarious in this. He
Yeah.
just kept screaming and then immediately would go, oh, sorry. And he was genuinely, I mean, they were all screaming, but him, even when he was at the grave and the hand came up, he was screaming and then apologized. Oh, I thought it was hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good actually. When they first said the cabin, I was like, oh no, not again. But actually, yes, it was different, and the reactions just made the mission for me. Yeah, I thought it was great. Really, really enjoyed it. A highlight for me.
Yeah. Because when my sister texted me and said, Matthew, you'll love this, I thought, and then I saw the cabin. I thought, oh right, it's going to be the dolls again, the backwards singing dolls, and we're going to get. I was like, all right, okay, they're doing the same thing again, but no. So I thought maybe that. Oh, then I thought, oh, is it like worms and maggots crawling on them again? All right,
Yeah,
okay, right. But no, this was so much better. Like one of my favorites.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I know sometimes we talk about the missions being like, oh, they're not that important, and I get it, and sometimes there's huge big like 2 or 3 episodes again with the big demons and they had to shove the fire in. Like it was really cool and impressive. But
Yeah.
actually, I loved this more. I just thought this was so impressive to see
Yeah.
what the games team have like designed and created and come up with. So imaginative. I would love
Yeah.
to have worked on
Brilliant.
this. This would be amazing. Actually, I would
Yeah.
love to
Yeah.
be. This is sounds weird. I would love to be one of those hands that bursts out of the ground. Like, what a cool job to put on your
Yeah.
CV.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if I've mentioned this in the pod before. I used to be a zombie actor in those live game experiences that they do. I did it up in Glasgow, and maybe in Edinburgh, where I did it in people where you take part in a game around a city and you run around and solve
Yeah.
clues, and they need like
Uh-huh.
hundreds of actors to be zombies. So I spent a couple of years of my life, it wasn't my main time job or anything, being a zombie and makeup and contact lenses and fake blood. It was some of the best fun that I've ever had.
I
I
was
should
going to
try and do
say,
it
it sounds
again.
like fun. Yeah.
It
Sounds
was
fun.
brilliant. So this reminded me of that. I'm not going to go through every single name and clue. We'll talk about who gets the shields, who gets the money. So the first name that comes out, Sam goes for it straight away, and he basically they know what he's doing. He's going to go and get a shield, but they find it a bit. They're all quite annoyed about it. They're all as soon as he goes out, they're saying, "Why is he doing this? He doesn't need it. He's got heat on him. He's going to get votes tonight. Surely he knows that if he's not a traitor, the traitors are going to keep him around." And Ellie, this is where Ellie suggests, is he just trying to stop someone else from getting it? Is he a traitor and that's why
Mm.
he's doing it? I mean, if there's only one shield, I don't think a traitor needs to stop one person from getting it, so I would kind of dismiss that.
Yeah.
Second name is Ellie. She gets up, runs out, gets the money. The third one is Matthew. He also gets the money. Matthew's is we've talked about Stephen in his jumpsuit. Matthew's like top
Matthew
half
Trousers.
winter, bottom half shorts. Like he's like got 2 layers. He's got like a puffy or like a white, like a waterproof and like a thing zipped up to here and shorts. It just men do this a lot, and I don't
He's a
understand it.
creative director as well, whatever that means. But I thought, and his fashion, yeah, his trousers are way too short for him. He's got very odd fashion choice. But I mean,
Yeah,
maybe that's the end thing. I don't know. But yeah, you're right. Maybe his top half gets cold and his bottom half doesn't.
yeah. He is very outdoorsy. Like all of his social media stuff is mountain climbing and hill walking and hiking, and so like
Yes.
that's his look, that's his jam. Um, uh, yeah,
Good
shorts. But
headstands.
I don't know. Matthew, you do you. You're cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, my next note is what you've already covered, but I'm just going to say it again. Steven screaming at everything is just brilliant. It just cracked me up this whole mission. The fourth
I love
one,
him so much.
it's great.
So great.
The
Yeah.
fourth, and I suppose it makes sense. Like we see how flustered he gets and panicked all that. Of course, he's going to be screaming at things jumping out at him. It
It's
it totally
cool.
marries up with what we know about Stephen. God love him. The fourth name, it's Jack who volunteers to get up and go out, but gets it wrong. And the fifth one is Rachel. She gets it correct. Sixth, Stephen goes for it, gets it correct, and like you said, that hand thrusts out from the ground. He screams and then goes, "Oh my God, is that person okay?" It's excellent moment. Well done, Stephen. So
Yeah.
by the end of this fab mission, they matched 4 of the messages correctly, earning them £4,000. But again, Claudia doesn't reveal if or who won a shield, although it's pretty obvious. And as soon as they head back to the castle, actually, Sam just tells Ellie, "Yeah, it was me." I watched the episode twice. It wasn't until the second time I watched it that I realised and was paying attention. The players who left the cabin sort of left early. Like they all headed back to the castle first.
That's
I
right.
only
Yeah, they did.
really
Yeah.
spotted it this time around. So Sam and Ellie were already back at the castle, and he says, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I took the shield." And I get that he's just going to tell. He's not going to do what James did. He's just going to be, own up to it, even though they all think you don't need it. The other players who were still in the cabin are making their way back in the cars. James and Faraz now do think maybe Sam is being a bit sus. They can't understand why he was so desperate for a shield. Likewise, Jade in her car with Roxy and Jesse does think someone in that mission group, Adam's group, maybe did know that Adam didn't have a shield. They're not at any point in this episode, well, James maybe a little bit at the end actually, they're not entertaining the idea that maybe the traitors did just take a shot in the dark and got lucky. Like they just can't fathom that the traitors would attempt that.
No.
And I know I know it is risky, but it's not impossible. It's just funny that none of them are like, well, that might have happened and we need to consider it. Like maybe that they're just like,
Mm,
nah, traitors would never do that. Crazy thinking. And it's
mm,
exactly what did happen, which
mm.
is the funniest
Yeah.
thing. In the kitchen, Sam is also, this must be a little bit later because he's with Ellie again and he says he knows why Adam was murdered. It was a way of adding more heat to him because it makes people wonder why he's never been murdered. Uh, I, I don't think Sam's quite right here. I don't think the traitors are keeping Sam around because they think that'll make him look suspicious. I think he's already got suspicions for other reasons. So the traitors don't really need to do it. They're just keeping him because they think he'll get banished. They just don't want to waste a murder on him, that's all. But
Mm.
I guess he can't quite see that people are suspicious of him anyway, and he's had some votes along the way from quite early on. Ellie just tells him to his face. She's like, "Well, actually, I'm suspicious of you, and I'm probably going to bring it up at the round table." She's very honest about it. In the library, Jessie is with James, our bestie. She says, "Look, the heat's going to be on us. We were in that little group, and Sam." And James worries that he has sown the seeds of his demise. Again, I don't really think he's got anything to worry about, and he doesn't in the end. And this, this is a very small point. I'm just going to mention it here. It's probably never going to result in anything. A few episodes back, I kept talking about this book that they keep doing a close up of on the library shelf. But since
Yeah.
then, I've not really seen it. They do keep including something in almost every episode, and it's this little sort of statue of it's like a traitor. It's like a figure in a dark cloak. They show it
Oh.
all the time on the shelves. Like they show it
Oh, I
twice,
didn't
at
notice
least
that.
twice in this episode. And
Mm.
it probably doesn't. It's not going to be a thing. It's just funny. I'm just like the curious part of my mind is like, is that
Mm.
little object meaningful? And they also keep showing us like, I know that this is just sort of the theme. I was going to say they keep showing us skulls on the shelf. Like, yeah, obviously Matthew, it's a murder mystery. It's supposed to be creepy. We've had the creepy cabin mission. I just keep noticing that figure, the little, and it looks like one of those
Ah.
sort of wraiths from like Lord of the Rings. It's got the
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this
yeah.
behind me. I'm just
Yeah.
saying it now in case it means something later on, and I can
Okay.
be really smug and say I called it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
it's nothing.
I hadn't
Uh,
even noticed it, so there you go. We'll see. Yeah. Okay, I'll look out for it next
Next
episode.
episode, I bet there'll be a close up of it. It's really
Okay.
small and it's on one of the shelves. Anyway,
Okay.
later on in the kitchen, there's more suspicion on James. Ellie, Jessie, and Jack are also having a chat. They're in the billiards room. And Jessie now comes back to her Stephen theory. She's not moved on from it. She's still on Stephen, and she can't just shake the idea that he was one of the people that was left in the cages in that mission where Maz got murdered, and he was one of the Library Five. So she's just
Mm.
putting two and two together. She wonders also if him voting for Fiona and getting really upset was traitor on traitor. She's absolutely right in all of it. And she's annoyed that people just keep ignoring Stephen. They just sort of keep saying, "Oh, he's so sweet and nice, couldn't possibly be him." And I'm sort of on one hand, I'm like, "Yes, Jesse, like cling to like you're so observant. Well done. Keep going." On the other hand, if I was a traitor, I'd be so annoyed. I'd be like, "Stop talking about this." Like I can imagine Stephen just being like, "Shut up, get rid of her." Um, she even comes to Stephen in the kitchen, and Jade's there as well, and she talks about it. And you know he's sort of acknowledging like, okay, yes, I know why you think that, but I sort of thought he was starting to melt down a little bit again, like he's getting a bit red, and
Yeah,
there's
red.
a couple
Yeah.
of shots of him just going, like he just keeps sighing, like, oh man, I can't keep defending myself. He needs to hold it
Yeah.
together. Come on, Stephen.
Yes.
Shortly after this, time for the round table. The people that we see talking in interview coming in are Jesse, Stephen, Sam, and James. So it's, that's not a surprise. They're probably going to get the heat here. Stephen is coming in saying, I understand that this is the thing that could probably get me banished. He's talking about Jesse. Still wasn't worried about Stephen at this round table. Like, I knew Jesse would bring him up, but I don't think anyone else is too focused on him right now, so I wasn't worried.
No, no
And
one's listening to Jessie, unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe eventually she'll say like, "Come on, like, how much can you ignore me?" And it'll work if she's around. We'll see. James comes in saying he's expecting to be grilled like a piece of bacon, and which made me laugh because it's just funny. Claudia comes in. The prize fund is £54,250. Does her usual chat to get them all worked up and lets them discuss things. Stephen speaks first, unless someone else spoke first and they've cut it out. But it seems like Stephen starts, and his strategy is to go on the offense. He's just gonna I think he's worried that Jessie's going to come for him, which she does later. But he's just gonna immediately start deflecting. So he says he's pretending he just can't stop thinking about Adam's mission group. Again, that's Sam, Jesse, and James. It was Harriet, but Harriet is now gone, of course. And he thinks it's just got to be one of them. That's where they've got to look. One of them knew that Adam didn't have a shield. And Stephen says, look, he asks everybody, who knew that Adam didn't have a shield? And Sam just sort of says, well, that's a silly question to ask. Like, no one's going to own up to that. Like, no one's going to admit that they knew that. I mean, in reality, some of them did know. The people in his group, Jesse, Sam, and James, did know. Jade then comes in, she's supporting Stephen. She says Sam was erratic today, the way that he was gunning for the shield, he didn't need it. Sam does point out, though, I thought wisely, he says, I know you're all saying I've got heat on me. I didn't get one vote yesterday. So, I mean, I think that's smart of him to mention. He's like, you're all saying I've got heat. No one, I didn't get any vote. And my impression of Sam is a bit like Rachel. He's really articulate. He's really measured. Like, he doesn't lose his temper. He's really doing his best job to defend himself. And obviously it doesn't work. It's not a landslide vote against him. But yeah, I thought, Harriet, if you're watching this, take note. This is how you sort of calmly lay things out. And he's been really reasonable. He says, look, I know you're all lovely. I just think like some of you could be amazing traitors, and I'm just not looking at you. But like, he's not, he's not attacking people. He's not saying like, you're a liar, you're a horrible person, I don't trust you. I thought he came across really well, actually, even though he's been voted the most arrogant and all that. I actually thought he played this pretty cool and calm as best as he could. Ellie comes from as well. She sheds doubt on his suggestion that everybody knew he and Adam didn't have shields. And then he just sort of comes back at her. He says, it's not tit for tat, but I actually do think you're a traitor. And he talks a bit about the way she's voted. He thinks that she just goes with the crowd. Of course, she denies it. Roxy then comes in for James for, I get the most basic reasons. She just is stuck on the fact that he took a shield and he didn't tell anyone, and that means he's really dishonest and deceptive. And she even says it would be crazy for the traitors to take a gamble when they were picking a murder victim. I don't think it's that crazy.
No, it's not. No, it's not. But she's not reading the game well at all, is she? So not
Yeah,
surprising that she went that way. But yeah, totally off course as she always has been.
yeah. I've been thinking about this, that, and maybe I'll come back to it later, that it's. I think even if Rachel and Stephen had failed, it's not the worst thing in the world. Because firstly, it still doesn't bring anything back to them. I mean, it could still just
No,
look like anybody, and it might
exactly.
trick the players into thinking there's been a recruitment, and that totally throws them off.
Yes.
So
There's nothing to
even if,
lose. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
yeah, yeah. So I don't
Correct.
think it was a terrible idea to just take a stab in the dark. And usually the traitors don't try and do that, but I thought it was cool that they just went for it and got lucky. Uh, Roxy also says, now I'm being really pedantic here and I'm picking on her a bit, but she says the traitor's main objective is to murder Faithful. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's their main objective. Their main objective is to not get banished and get to the end. Now, obviously, they have to murder along the way. Sometimes they don't have to. Sometimes they get to recruit instead. So the traitors have to do all sorts of things. They have to divert attention, try and frame other people, maybe even do what they did last night, take a chance on a murder, see what happens. Yeah, I don't think their main objective is to murder people no matter what. So she just can't believe that they would have
She
just
just
taken a
can't know.
gamble.
Yeah.
Like the numbers are going to dwindle somehow. It doesn't matter if the traitors don't hit their murder target. That's all baked into the game. The producers will figure out a way to do like a, I don't know, a double elimination or something like that.
Yeah.
So they've got it all sussed. It's fine. Next up, Matthew attacks Jade. He talks about Jade. Basically, she's a common connection to various murdered and banished players. Sam just keeps reiterating that he doesn't believe no one knew Adam didn't have a shield. It's not really working, but he just keeps going on about it. Rachel speaks up. She says that she's going to come back to Amanda and her experience, her 30-year career, and obviously Rachel knows that this is just all nonsense, but this is the character that she's playing. She's playing a faithful, and she says, Amanda named Sam and Jade. I'm going to have to go with one of you guys. And maybe at this point, and we'll come back to this in our listener questions after, a lot of people have asked about this. It's mind-blowing to me that no one at this round table that we see, unless they did talk about it and they've cut it out, no one questions Rachel. Like, no one is voting for it. No one is saying, well, should we just talk about Harriet, and Fiona? Is it weird that they both pinpointed Rachel? But they're just, why do you think that is? Why is no one looking at her?
They're just not very good faithfuls. The ones that they're just not. They're really not. Because if they were, like you say, it's common sense. You'd think, I would have expected Jessie to pick up on this, but maybe she's so honed in on Stephen. But you're right, both Fiona and Harriet. Why wouldn't they? And I think part of the reason is that they're hopeless and they're not reading the game at all. And secondly, is Rachel's really liked by them. Yeah. And as I know, if you can make friends with people and people like you, then they're less likely. Obviously, as it gets to the end of the game, you have to sort of turn on each other, as it were, but they're less likely to consider you. And I think Rachel's playing that brilliantly. And that's kind of what, in my season, what I tried to do a bit is just make friends with everyone, be nice, be popular, and then you're less likely to be picked on by others. And I think she's playing that amazingly well, but they're just not. Why are they not bringing that up? No one, like you say, nobody has brought it up. Not one person.
Yeah, it's
disappointing.
It's really incredible. And like you say, maybe if Rachel survives and she's there towards the last cup, maybe eventually they're going to come back round and they're like, well, we need to get rid of someone. Maybe we just figure out if Rachel's faithful or maybe we just put it to the test and see why Fiona and Harriet were on her. Yeah. But especially because, well, I'll come back. I was going to sort of ruin a listener question, so while listeners mentioned it, we'll save it for the bonus episode. The last chunk of the roundtable discussion is basically sort of Jessie and her theory about Stephen. She comes in, she brings up Stephen, the cages, the library, etc., and she keeps saying she's right, but she does keep saying there must have been one traitor in the cage. And that's not true, but I get that you're faithful, you've only got so much to go on. I wonder if that's why the others aren't quite listening to her, because she's not right, she's not accurate. When she keeps saying there must have been a traitor, maybe the other players are just like, there doesn't have to be, stop talking about this, Jessie. I don't know. And she also says something that I don't quite agree with, actually. She says she just doesn't understand why Maz was murdered. Why didn't Maz come back? And she says he had heat on him. And I thought, I don't think he did have heat on him. I think he only ever had one vote. It was from Stephen, who was trying to deflect and create this theory that Maz was in front of the family portrait and the fingerprints and everything. So I actually thought at the time Maz was a really obvious choice for murder, but Jessie just doesn't see it that way. And Stephen defends himself, saying, I guess what I've just said, he's like, this isn't hard evidence, we can't go on that. Jessie just keeps coming for him. She brings up Fiona, and maybe it was traitor on traitor. She says, you got so upset. And Stephen's in the middle of explaining that. He's saying, yeah, I really struggled to vote for Fiona. Claudia interrupts. The time for talk is over. Here come the votes. Roxy is first and votes for James, which isn't a surprise. Stephen is next and goes for Sam. Probably the smart thing to do. Sam's most likely to get numbers here. Ellie also votes for Sam. That's not a surprise. She said she would. Jack's next and votes for Matthew and says the weirdest thing. He says, Harriet told us to look at 3 people. You were one of the 3. And I was like, Matthew's the one out of you? That's what you took from Harriet? Like, Harriet came so hard for Rachel. Then at round table mentioned like a few other people.
Yeah,
You've picked
I
out
know.
Matthew?
Yeah. Right. God.
Really strange. I mean, I'll give Jack the benefit that maybe Jack said more than this and they've just clipped that one little moment, but because James then goes on to vote for him as well right after this. Sam votes for Ellie. Yep, he said he would do that. Matthew votes for Sam. Jessie votes for Stephen, of course, even though no one's listening to her. Rachel votes for Sam, so she's doing what Stephen's doing. She's just going with who's going to get votes here. No point going for Jade if no one else is going to do it.
No.
At this point, there's only 2 people left. If there's one more vote for Sam, he's gone. Even to make it a tie, the next 2 votes would have to be for Matthew. Not impossible, but Jade and Faraz both vote for Sam. Which is interesting that Faraz has changed his mind. Earlier on, he was like, no, I can't believe it. Sam's a faithful, but he's been swayed. He's gone with the others. Sam gives his goodbye speech. He says, what a ride. Apart from being Billy No Mates in the cage, I've had the best time. Thinks they're all amazing. Best of luck. Right now, I just want to go and see my wife. And they all go, oh. And I watched a video of Sam put a video on his social media of him watching the episode with his wife.
Oh,
Because
did he?
I'm assuming she didn't know. She must have. I'm assuming she didn't know. She knew that he didn't win, but I don't know if she knew what was going to happen. So they're sitting watching it, and he's sort of filming their reaction. And when it gets to that bit, she just bursts out laughing at him. Like she doesn't go, "Oh, that's so sweet and love it." She just laughs.
Really?
And then he said he decides to psych them out a bit, which I think is really fun. He plays with them and he goes, Faraz, Matt, I guess persistence is key. I have always been and it's like he's about to say traitor and he says faithful.
Yeah.
They can't believe it, they're gutted. Rachel goes, oh, I actually thought we got one. James is fuming, he's like, told you, he voted for Matthew. There's silence at the round table, Claudia goes off. And Rachel turns to Jade and goes, well, it's good for you. And Jade's like, well, how is that good for me? And she says, well, I thought this was really clever again of Rachel. She goes, well, Amanda was wrong about him and she was sure about you. So Rachel's basically saying, oh yeah, oh, maybe you're fine. Now I'm not going to vote for you. I just thought that was really smart. That again, Rachel is appearing really rational, logical. She's willing to change her mind. So I thought that was good thinking of her in the moment. Well, I suppose she's had time to plan it because she knew that Sam was a faithful.
Oh, yeah.
They leave the round table. They have a bit of a debrief. Rachel's congratulate. She's trying to be nice to Jessie as well. Like she's sort of saying, "Oh, well done. That you remember who was where and who was in what mission, and that was really detailed." But she tries to swear away from Stephen really subtly. She doesn't say, "Oh, it's not Stephen. Oh, come on." She just says, "Well, I know you're thinking about who was in the cages, but what about the other people in the cages at the start of the mission who got saved?" She's like, maybe there was just a traitor amongst all of them.
Yeah.
Which I thought, that Jessie should be thinking about that actually.
Yeah.
And I went back and checked the other people some of the other people who were in cages were Faraz, James, Jack, and Jade, who are all still in the game. Oh. So Rachel's obviously trying to get her back to one of those other people. It doesn't have to be Stephen. Stephen's also trying to spin the idea that, oh, he's like pretending to be really annoyed. He's saying there's some players that just never get questioned. We never look at them. And he doesn't name them, but presumably like Faraz, Jack, Jessie.
Right, yeah.
And he tells us he's going to have to go into self-preservation mode, which I wonder if that's a little bit of a hint at who he's going to choose to murder. We'll make our prediction soon. Jessie and James are alone in the billiards room, and James is saying to Jessie, look, come on, the traitors must have just guessed at Adam and got lucky. And I think Jessie kind of can accept that. She just is worried that that's not a good enough reason to convince everyone else. She's like, how do we back that up? Like, if we say that, they won't believe us. And she says she even hoped Sam was a traitor to take heat off of these two.
Yeah.
And she's saying to Jessie that, she's saying to James, she's the only person who's on Stephen. It just feels pointless. And James is kind of like, no, don't think that way. Keep holding on to it. Maybe, like, maybe implying, look, maybe I will vote for Stephen next time. Rachel then, and you sort of alluded to this earlier, Jane. Rachel decides that she needs to do some redirection. And my first instinct was, oh no, oh Rachel, no, don't, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Don't do
same,
Fiona. You don't.
yeah.
She does something. I think she gets away with it. I don't know what you think. It's because she just sort of does it as a wee joke. It's a bit light-hearted. She goes to Faraz and sort of jokes, oh, you getting rid of all the older players? Something going on here. And that's kind of it. I think they just have a bit of banter and she leaves. Do you think that's going to cause a problem?
Well, you know what it could do, but bearing in mind their track record so far, it probably won't. They'll probably completely ignore that. I get why she did it. I get why she did it, and it was quite, done in good humour. So she probably will get away with it. It was a little bit risky, but for me, again, people are saying, "Oh, if you, Rachel's out for herself." No, I think she really is trying to keep her and Stephen together in the game. And I think this is one of the ways that she's proving that. But she's
Yeah.
also, there is self-preservation for herself as well. She doesn't want to do what Fiona did. So,
Yeah.
it wasn't, when I saw it, I thought, oh God. But actually, having thought about it a bit, I don't think it will come back to haunt her, no. So,
Yeah.
and I think, again, it just shows that she wants to, if her and Stephen can make it to the end together, she's willing to do that. I think
Yeah.
she's done everything great with Rachel. I think she's played it perfectly so far.
Yeah. I think it's also in her best interest to save Stephen. I mean, even if it does get to a point where she's got no choice and she has to turn on him, if he gets banished now, she's going to have to recruit some. She's going to have to blackmail someone,
Yes.
and so you're blackmailing someone who doesn't have the same relationship that she's built up with Stephen. She's going to have to sort of hope that someone else, a new traitor, is going to trust her and go along with. She's actually better just keeping Stephen, keep the person who's been working with you from the start. Go as
Right.
far as
Yeah.
you can go until you don't have it. So I
Yeah.
don't think she's got. Yeah, I think it's in her interest to help do what she can to keep him in as long as she can without making it too
And
obvious.
vice
So
versa. And I think that, I think that's what people forget. That is that if you've got a team working together, stick together.
yeah,
As you say, you get a new traitor in, they don't trust you, or you don't know if they're going to throw you under the bus. So absolutely, it's the right thing to do, and I think they're working well together. Actually, they do seem to trust each other, which is nice because often they just don't at all, do they? So no, and obviously I like both of them, which helps.
yes, agreed. There is a little moment of Faraz and his Miv saying, what Rachel says carries lots of weight, everyone listens to her, but I need to start looking at the people that are really trusted and that I trust. That either Faraz is starting to get a bit suspicious of Rachel, or it's a kind of random state. It's just they've just put that in for us, the viewers, to go, oh,
Yes.
Rachel might be in trouble, and she's not at all.
No.
Maybe it was just a sort of
No.
flippant comment Faraz made. We'll never know. Well, we'll know soon. And meanwhile, Stephen's in the bar and he's doing his best. He's asking Jade and Matthew, well, why does no one ever question Jessie? Just because we all like her, why have we all assumed she's faithful? And he pretends as well that he just can't believe that the traitors took a gamble with the murder. And Jade seems to be totally on board. She's sort of nodding along with everything he's saying, like, yeah, yeah. Midnight chimes, time for goodbyes. Matt's telling us that maybe tonight Jessie will get murdered. And and the thing is, they all know tonight who's got the shield. They know it's Sam. But they know that Sam had the only shield and he's gone. So they know that anybody could be murdered tonight. So he's hoping could be Jessie. Maybe my deal's on. Maybe I'm going to get recruited soon. Off we go to the turret, and Rachel and Stephen reckon the faithful are hungry for blood. And when they said that, I thought that meant, oh, they're going to recruit Matt and then sacrifice him. But no, I was totally wrong. They actually think Matt's a bad idea. They think he'll cause chaos. They, like we were just saying, they trust one another.
Right
They know
decision.
how they've been
Absolutely.
playing, and they
Yeah.
just decide, nah, just murder. We don't need to recruit right now. So they talk a bit more about Matthew, and they say, is he suspicious of us? And he's pretending he isn't, and he's just waiting to find out if Jesse's murdered. Rachel suggests, why don't we just murder Jesse? She's spot on with her theory about Stephen. Of course, the risk is, does that put Stephen in the limelight and people think he did it? Or is it too obvious? And they just say, nah, Stephen wouldn't have done that if he was a traitor. Stephen's worried Jessie might be able to get people on her side, come from at the round table tomorrow or maybe the one after. And he also smartly says, I don't want to get down to the final with absolute faithfuls. They're gonna have to turn on
Yes.
someone at some point.
Yeah.
It can't just be, the most faithful of the faithful at the end and I'm the odd one out. We're gonna have to start getting rid of these people who are like clear cut faithfuls like Jack and maybe Ellie and
Yeah.
Jesse. So their top three choices for murder, they come up with Jesse, Matt, and Faraz. I'm a bit confused why Jack isn't on their list and why they want to murder Matthew. This confused me. I don't.
I
Are
mean,
they
Jack,
just
yeah,
worried that he's
Jack, you're
onto
right.
them?
Yeah, I think, well, they discussed that, didn't they? That they think,
Yeah.
but there's no evidence that he is onto them, and we've certainly never heard that he is. I think with the whole Matt thing, is it because they know that he wants to be recruited and they want to get rid of him in that respect? I don't know. But like you say, Jack would have been a really good he's had no heat on him whatsoever. He's a definite faithful, isn't he? So I
Hmm.
think yeah, I'm surprised his name wasn't mentioned. Yeah. Raz, I get why, and Jesse's an obvious one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that was maybe their thinking.
Yeah. I wonder if they want to just take Matt out of the equation
Yeah.
because this is like a lot of steps that I'm going ahead, but well, this is more for Rachel than Stephen, I suppose. If Stephen gets banished tomorrow, and Rachel will have to recruit, and if she recruits someone that's not Matthew, Matthew's going to be pissed off, and he's going to be like, "I
Yeah.
can't believe I didn't get recruited." So maybe she's just like, "I don't want him coming for me. Let's just get rid of him now." I don't know. That's just complete speculation on my part.
Yeah.
Rachel basically tells Stephen, look, the choice is yours. I don't want to tell you to murder Jesse. You're kind of going to have to make this decision. And we finish the episode on that conundrum. So, Jane, prediction. Who are they going to murder?
I think they're going to murder Matt, and I
Oh,
don't.
right.
I think it, I thought it was going to be Jesse, and Jesse is the obvious choice. I don't think it'd be Faraz, but I'm normally wrong, so I expect it probably will be Faraz. I just think with the Matt thing is for exactly the reasons we've just said. I think they think he's dangerous. I think if they murder Jesse, then Matt is gonna suspect that they're going along with his plan, which isn't
Hmm.
necessarily a bad thing. And obviously with the Jesse thing, will it come back to Stephen? Yes, but then you've also got the double bluff thing. Why would I do that? You know, Stephen could say, "Why would I do that? It's so obvious." But then, bearing in mind, Stephen goes so red all the time that maybe he doesn't want that on him. I don't know. I just think Matt. What about you?
Okay. I think it has to be either Matt or Jesse. I think you're right that they either go through with the plan, get rid of Jesse, string Matt along. But if they get rid of anyone who's not Jesse, like if they get rid of Faraz, it'll just irritate Matt, and I think they just want to avoid that. So I don't think they'll go for Faraz. I'm going to go with Jesse though. I think they might just do
Okay.
the obvious
Hmm.
because we've had those moments of Stephen in this episode saying things like, "I just have to look after myself. It's self-preservation." I just wonder if
Yeah.
that's a hint that he's just going to do the obvious and not take the risk of Jesse continuing to come at him. And yeah, I think he might just take the chance of having to defend himself and do the whole like, yeah, of course it looks like I'm the one she voted for. surely if I was a traitor, I wouldn't be that stupid and hope that they just go, oh, right, okay, yeah, sure. Because the faithful are kind of obsessed with avoiding the obvious.
Yes,
And in
exactly.
this
And it's yeah,
series,
yes, and it certainly wouldn't be a bad move. So I think either would work.
yeah,
So yeah, I don't want Jessie to go. She's been a bright light throughout. I really like her. She's got good thinking. She stays calm and rational, but maybe she needs to go just so she can sort her lockjaw out because she's permanently like
yeah.
everything, isn't she? Like her whole, she's brilliant. I love her, but so I hope it's
Yeah,
Matt, but we'll see. We'll see. It's
yeah,
actually now. It's probably playing as we're on air now. I
it will
guess
be.
playing out, isn't it? So we don't know, but
Yes,
yeah, we'll see.
yes. We'll find out very soon.
Yeah.
We are not totally finished with this episode yet, episode 8. I have to not mix up my episode numbers. Episode 8, because we're going to move on and discuss your questions and your observations that you've sent me in our bonus episode right after this. Of course, Jane and I will also be concluding the Trader Traitor and trying to uncover what we both lied about in this episode. For now, Jane, can you let us know how we find you on social media? Where can we follow you?
Instagram, Jane Mass 444. Yeah, I put quite a lot of Traitors stuff on there, and yeah, you can see my obsession with the Traitors. Love it. So yeah, you can follow me there, and my lovely life that I have here in New Zealand. If you're interested, then give us a follow.
Great. And I'll put that link in the episode description. And it's really easy to find Jane through the podcast socials as well. So to make sure that you are up to date with the podcast and Traitors news and updates and all sorts of things that we're planning, you can follow on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at the Trader Podcast. Again, I am going to do a Instagram live this Sunday, the 17th of January at 7 p.m. UK time. I did one last week for a bit of fun, and it went really well, and loads of people came on, and we had a chat for almost an hour. So it was so much fun that I thought, hey, why don't I just do it again next Sunday, and we can chat about all 3 episodes this week. I'll put reminders about that on Instagram as well. You can send me your questions on any of those places, or you can email me at thetradarpodcast@gmail.com. You could do what Jane had been doing and leave a voice note for the pod at memo.fm/thetradarpodcast. Or you could actually send me a voice message on Instagram, I guess. It's an easy way of doing it. Wherever you're listening and watching, as always, thank you to everybody who's subscribed and followed and left star ratings. If you haven't done that yet, it's super helpful for the podcast. And you can support the podcast in a couple of ways. You could go to thetradar.redbubble.com to acquire some lovely merch and show off to people how much you love the show and the podcast. Or you could visit the coffee.com page and chip in a donation of your choice. That's ko-fi.com/Matthew Keeley. Just yesterday, maybe, Lisa sent in a donation on coffee.com, and Lisa said, I've been a fan since the first episode. I wonder if that means the first episode ever. I think that is maybe what it means, which is really, really cool. The podcast has been going for 3 years now. Lisa says, so entertaining and so much food for thought, and I really enjoy all of your guest hosts too. So that includes you, Jane. There you go. Thank you from Lisa. That was very, very kind. Again, stay with us for our follow-up episode. We're going to address your questions. We are going to do our Traitor reveal. Thank you so much for joining me, Jane. Until that next bonus episode, laters, traitors.